My man Milk 74 came in clutch yesterday evening, but I'm watching it this morning. There was something that I actually missed that happened in the No Jumper verse, and we gotta talk about that. The destruction that's going on over there is just too delicious. Pause. But anyways, so if you didn't catch it, if you didn't watch his live stream, because I would like to think that I don't have any fans that cross section with the fans of Flakko, because, well, I'm not a babbling retard, to be honest with you. But beyond that, he brought on some people who are called the Perv Busters, who I've never heard of before. But if you don't know me, I love all these little pred catchers on YouTube. Shouts out to Skeeter Gene. Shouts out to Protect the Innocent. Shouts out to Dads Against Predators. Shouts out to OPB, who are the new ones that I've not seen before. But the reason that I bring them up, and the reason that it ties into No Jumper is because dude from OPB, which I don't even know his name because they didn't say it in the entire clip, but I'll be finding out more information about them later. It's on Poetik, Flakko's channel, but I would recommend that you go and watch Milk 74's reaction on It's Milk TV, because that's the channel that I choose to support when it comes to this content. I wouldn't give Flakko $1 if he was a bum on the street corner begging for it, because honestly, he could stand to lose some weight in the first place. But beyond that, I don't like him, the way that he operates. And this is, and I'll explain to you why, because it's very relative to this story. So this guy goes on to Flakko's live, and they're talking about Richard Spencer being a reformed Nazi. I could care less if he's reformed or not. I don't care if you think that you're superior. Why don't you prove that? And you don't prove that by screaming to a camera or on a podium. Do something to prove it, Richard. Do something. But beyond that, when it comes, the guest on the show said, oh, so, if he's a reformed Nazi and da-da-da, we can give him a pass for that. In talking with Flakko and why he would allow, or not allow, because he can't tell his boss what to do, but why you would be okay with your boss working with a neo-Nazi. And he says, well, then can a pedophile, can a predator have a reformation? Can they be reformed? And Flakko is asking him like, oh, like, why are you bringing that up? And then he starts asking him. He's like, well, so your boss, Adam 22, had a relationship with a 16-year-old girl that he even admitted to in writing and talked about, which the proof is out there apparently. And I have to do a little bit more research on that. I've always heard the whispers in the wind of these kind of things, but from what I had always heard, it was a secret that like never had been admitted to. In the recent months only has this additional information about this article been coming out. And remember, it's probably from a time when he was with Lil Pump and doing all that stuff. And I never liked Lil Pump. I was not really that big into No Jumper at that time. I watched them for their interviews of the artists that I like. This was before the podcast era for them. So I had no clue that this really happened. And then they're talking about all this, like, oh yeah, it's coming out. Well, long story short, he brings that up and, asks him, is he a reformed, predator? And Flakko shuts down the podcast. And Josh, the second owner or another owner of No Jumper, texts him like, yo, what are you doing and stuff? Because he probably didn't know what was being talked about. Well, the guy is actually recording himself. So you're not watching the stream from the live, but you're watching the stream from the guest's phone where he's talking to Flakko. So he continues his conversation and he's asking him. And he's asking him why he shut the live down. And basically Flakko says, oh, we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk about that because those are serious allegations and stuff like that, this is why I do not mess with Flakko. And I also talked about this is why I don't mess with Adam 22 in my other story, is because people like them are completely fine with putting on blast the most disgusting, most controversial, traumatic, problematic, serious accusations in other people's lives. I'm sorry, I just realized I had a little boogie in my eye corner. Sorry about that. But yeah, the most heinous accusations, beef, death, destruction, violence, gang wars that they discuss with no qualms about people whose lives are being put at risk every single day. And that's not heavy. That's not too heavy for them to talk about, but asking about past accusations, allegations that have been brought against this man that he's even spoken on, and talking in regards strictly to the admissions that he has made in his own, he has typed up himself, is too serious. I'm not going to tell you what to do with people like that. I'm just going to give that information to you and let y'all, the people watching this video, decipher what you think of people like that for your damn self. I know exactly where to put in those type of people and what to do with them. So he shuts down live, says it's too serious. Josh is texting him like, what the heck? And this dude on the guest who brought it all up is just laughing his ass off because he's like, this is what he does for a living. He's saying I would be a hypocrite to not bring this up, like just because I got accepted onto this platform, because he was in the No Jumper studio. That's where they filmed Flakko's Live, apparently, or something like that. And he's talking to, I would assume that it was a live, but it was also an interview, which I've never even watched Flakko's show. I'm not even subscribed to No Jumper anymore, so I don't know what they got popping off over there. They got a million new failing shows, a million new failing faces, a bunch of failures over there anyways. The Z team, really, if you want to. And this is, if anybody happens to see this from the No Jumper and they're like, hey, you don't even know me, you're exactly right. I don't know you. So if you take this personally, you can go suck a dick if you want to. But let me get back to being cordial here. The shutdown live. Flakko's like, oh, I can't do that. It's out of pocket. God says he's be a hypocrite. And then actually, none other than the devil himself, Adam 22, walks in the room. And the guy, he's basically like, yo, what's going on in here and stuff like that? Why'd you guys shut all the shit? Why'd you shut it down? And the guy tells him straight up, he's like, yeah, we shut it down because we were talking about the allegations against you. And he has a conversation with him. And the dude, and Adam 22 starts off by denying it. And then he slowly but surely admits, he's like, yeah, I was talking to her. She was 19 at the time that we dated. Like, oh, yeah? So you didn't talk to her when you were 16? Oh, that was one time, but I was 21. Oh, but weren't you 23? Oh, I could have been. It was like 30 years ago and stuff like that. Shaky, shaky, shaky. And then he tells him that he has to go, which is understandable. You own the building. I'm not, when you call somebody out in the building, you can't get offended that they tell you to leave. I was honestly very impressed that he did that with, what he has going on. This is the time to do it, though, because AD was, so Adam has his security, his bouncers who are going to say, when he says you got to leave, if you say no, obviously, they're like, nah, bro, it ain't going that way. You got to go. But then obviously he's got his other guys. And the other guys used to make it so that you wouldn't come on there and say whatever you wanted to because you knew that there would be stuff to deal with after that. Not security, but other guys. Anyways, those other guys don't have as close of ties to Adam as they used to anymore. So he doesn't really have access to the other guys. So now all he's got is his in-house security. I'm saying that to say, let's continue to watch the destabilization of a once great platform due to the arrogance of its owner and enjoy every piece, because every day is going to be a new adventure here. But once again, delineate the WWE pro wrestling style drama that they're trying to create in order to generate views. And let's watch out for the actual little bits and crumblies of the actual drama that's unfolding. And let's talk about it. Let's Barbra Streisand all of that information that they don't want to talk about, because this is hilarious. And I just want them to know that for every time that they talked about the destruction of somebody else's livelihood or their life, and they laughed, including their own friends and coworkers on their show, every time that they did that, this is the chickens coming home to roost. Enjoy. I know I will.